Hello, welcome back to Everyman Prepping. Hope you guys are having a great day. And I want to touch again on the death of the US dollar. I know I talked about it last week when Saudi Arabia came out in Davos and said they're going to look at other currencies. But I want to hit it again. A lot of people had pushback thinking that the dollar can never die. It's not going to happen. Well, I found another great article that kind of goes into it because it's that important that everybody understands, that you guys all out there understand what's going to happen to the dollar. So you're prepared for what's going to happen. So let's get into this here. And also, please, like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what's going on here, especially the sharing. Get this out to people that, might be thinking the U.S. dollar is as strong as ever. Inflation's going to go away. This is all just a short-term thing, because it's not. So really quickly, let's look at this here. This is, like it says here, the idea that the U.S. currency could ever be dethroned is the de facto global trade mechanism. It's impossible is in the minds of a lot of people. They think this is true. It'll never happen. Here's MBS. We're going to talk about him later. And so, one of the key pillars of keeping the dollar in place was the petrodollar, the petro status. But we're going to find out how Saudi Arabia basically has killed that last week at Davos. And they're going to, the question comes up also, why would the globalists want the dollar to die? Don't they get benefit from it? Well, no, because it's only the U.S. dollar. It says their goal is a one world economy and a one world currency. One currency that rules the world, basically. Kind of like Lord of the Rings, one ring that rules them all. Well, they want one currency to rule them all. And it says in order to make way for the central bank digital currency and for a new global system controlled by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the U.S. dollar needs to die, and they're going to try to do that. And that, of course, is through Saudi Arabia. And Mohammed bin Salman, referred to as MBS, he's the prince over there. And over there, they used to be divided up in power. There used to be a different person for the National Guard, the Defense Ministry, the Interior, kind of to share the power, some checks and balances. That has no longer happened. It is controlled all by MBS now. He controls foreign policy, oil, and defensive matters. So he has a lot of power. And it says here, the rise of the MBS was backed by the Public Investment Fund. It has trillions of dollars in it. And who backed it? The globalists, and within the Carlyle Group, which is the George Bush family, the Bush family, Goldman Sachs, Blackstone, BlackRock, big money, trillions of dollars, those people are backing it. And how did they get the favor of MBS? Well, he decided to go along with their plan, their 2030 plan for get rid of fossil fuel, which sounds a little ironic, and implementation of carbon controls. So why would MBS, Saudi Arabia, want to get off oil and support this? It says here, according to this gentleman, it says, in exchange for the cooperation, the Saudis are given access to ESG-like funding, environmental, social, global engineer, where they're going to start grading companies and, you won't be able to get money. You won't have a favorable status if you don't adhere to this. So they're going to give them funding from that. And this says, as well as access to all AI advancements, artificial intelligence, and the so-called digital economy. So, if Saudi Arabia, they agree they want to get all that stuff, they'll give up some of their dependence on oil, because I think deep down they know you're not going to ever give up oil. They're not going to have enough alternative energy right now to ditch the fossil fuels. So they're playing that they'll go along. I think they're playing, sure, we'll support your carbon credits and getting rid of fossil fuels, knowing in the back of their mind, everybody's going to need oil, always going to need oil for years and years to come, and they know they're going to benefit both ways. That's the card I think Saudi Arabia is playing. And then, how are they going to do this demise of the dollar? How are they going to, what's going to start it? And everybody thought it'd be a proxy war. And what do you know? In Europe, we have a proxy war going on right now. And then it says here, that seems to be what the globalists have chosen. And Taiwan being the next shoe to drop. Yeah, wait till the Taiwan-Chinese war breaks out. You're going to have a lot of pressure on that U.S. dollar. And then talked about how that happened at Davos, already explained that. And then it goes on to, now we're getting some of the details. It says, the importance of the Saudi announcement cannot be overstated. It is just the beginning of the end of the dollar. And it says, the same thing happened to the British sterling decades ago. The British sterling used to be the reserve currency. It died and was replaced with a petrodollar. So reserve currencies do die, and the dollar will die. And what are they going to replace it with? It won't just be, like I said, another currency. It'll be a world currency. It'll be a basket of currencies controlled by the IMF through special drawing rights, and it'll have a single digital currency to go along with it as well. And it's already under development, according to this gentleman. And I'll post this article down below in the description. in the comments so you guys can read it and check it out yourselves. It says the consequence of the loss of the reserve stats will be devastating to the U.S. economy. Like I told you, that means we can't export our inflation. It's all going to come home. And sometimes it's hard to understand my explanation of that. So I'm going to read what this gentleman explains, and I think you'll be understand. So it says the ability to defer inflation by exporting it overseas as a superpower is the only one that the U.S. enjoys. Only the U.S. can do that. We're the only country that exports their inflation by printing all the money we want. It says here the Fed can print money perpetually if it wants to in order to fund the government or prop up the U.S. market, as long as foreign central banks and corporate banks are willing to absorb dollars as a tool of global trade. When that stops, it says those trillions upon trillions of dollars the Fed has created are going to be coming flooding back to the United States, causing inflation and hyperinflation as a result. And it says here, this is another reason that global, reserve banks, foreign central banks are stockpiling on their gold reserves. Most gold ever. Right? China and Russia, India, they're all stockpiling tons and tons of gold. And it says they seem to be well aware of what is about to happen to the dollar. Well, it's key here, the American public is kept in the dark. And I believe you're not hearing about this anywhere from mainstream media, even some of the alternative media. That's why I'm trying to get it out. I know I'm a small channel, hoping you guys can help me spread the word, but it's going to happen. It says the effects of the decline of the dollar may not be felt immediately. So that's another reason people have. We're in a world of instant satisfaction. You got YouTubes and TikToks where you want things right now, satisfaction right away. This is going to be a slow burn until then it all happens at once. So it could go for a year or two. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. But what does that mean? Well, it says right here, the Federal Reserve will continue to hold interest rates higher to try to keep that inflation down with all those dollars returning back to the United States. But they won't be able to. Prices will climb or they'll stay the same, and they'll claim they don't know why inflation is so persistent when they know why it is. And then it'll be just the days before the dollar is numbered. The day of the dollar will be numbered at that point. So we just need to be appraised that, like I said, it could be a year or two out, it could be 6 months, but it's happening. We got to see how fast, it's all going to depend on how fast other countries start giving Saudi Arabia purchases in their currencies. Or if BRICS comes up with their own currency, or the IMF issues their digital one. So that's the next things we got to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on stories that I'll try to bring to you or elsewhere that you hear of less dollars being used for oil, countries switching to pay in different currencies and they're being reported, to a IMF digital currency, to a BRICS digital currency. Those are the next steps. You start hearing that, it's high time to, in my opinion, not a financial advisor or anything here, not financial advice, but unload whatever remaining dollars you have and use what it is just to pay the government their taxes and their bills, let them keep those dollars. But that's the next shoe we're waiting for the drop, is those issues of, the one world currency basically, and the buying of oil. When other countries, all the other countries join, it's just not, right now China and Russia are doing it. But when you start getting 5, 6, 10 other countries doing it, that's the next flag to look out for. So hope you got something out of this. Please comment below with any questions or comments that you have on it. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.